Hi everybody, I'm Mrs. Brown, and today I'm going to be walking you through the slides that we presented this past week up at the high school with our back to school orientation. And I just wanted to say before we begin, it was so nice to be able to see your faces again. Today what we're going to be discussing is here's our agenda. First I'm going to discuss our new LMS system, Canvas. Then I'm going to be talking to you about how to go and access Zoom. How to upload and name assignments and turn them in, some different COVID policies to ensure that we keep each other safe and healthy this school year, and then we'll be ending with some suggested items that are not mandatory but are going to be very helpful for your student success this year. If you have any questions, feel free to go and email your teachers. We had a little Q&A session at the end of our presentations this past week. So starting on Tuesday, for the next 2 weeks, this is going to be the schedule for students up at the high school. So they are in 30-minute increments, and students will then have a 10-minute break in order to go use the restroom, stand up, stretch, take a little walk, and there is time for lunch in there as well. This year we are moving from Google Classroom as our main system for online to Canvas, which is a full learning management system, or LMS. In order to get to Canvas, there is a link on our website at bendleschools.org, or you can also go to canvas.gennet.us. I personally went and created a little bookmark on my computer so that way I don't have to remember it, or it's just a fewer buttons to click. Once you get there, you're going to go and see a screen, which is over on the right-hand side here. And even though it says email and password, you don't actually have to do that now. The ISD was really great, and all you have to do is click Login with Google. So you're going to be using your Bendel Schools account in order to access that. And especially if you're using a Chromebook, it's really easy because you've already logged in. So that's a really nice feature that they have established. Once you get inside of Canvas, it's going to look similar to what Google Classroom was like, especially with the tiles. This happens to be what mine looked like earlier this week. And in order to go and access a class, you would just go and click on that specific tile. So like if you're in English 12, you would go and click on English 12 during that time period in order to get into that class. Once you're inside of the course, the left-hand side, if you're ever unsure of what to do, I always go and suggest clicking on the dashboard. That is kind of like your reset button. Next to the dashboard, it is highlighted right there for your courses, and this is my English 12 welcoming screen with my Bitmoji and my little kitties that are in there. A little bit about me in there. Each classroom is going to look a little bit different just depending upon how that teacher styled that. But this is where you're pretty much going to live when you go on in there, and within there then you're going to go and usually live within the modules, but there could be other things. On the right hand side there's a to-do list, and that's really, really helpful, especially for things that are coming up. Announcements will also be in there. If you need to go and contact the teachers, on the left-hand side, there's going to be this little icon that's an inbox. So you don't ever have to go and open up a new tab and go and sign into your email in order to go and contact a teacher anymore. Instead, you can do it right within Canvas, which is a really fantastic feature. I would suggest that you use some email etiquette, making sure that you go and greet the teacher, that you ask politely of what your question is, make sure that you sign who it's from. Yes, it is going to tell us that, but it's just good rule of thumb in order to get used to for your adult life as well. Another feature that's in there is the calendar, and the calendar is also a really great place in order to see when things are due. It's just like a little agenda and a little planner that we used to have. For me, I love this feature. It's great. And then you can go and click on that stuff and it'll take you directly to that specific assignment. Now, one thing to note though is that it will only take you to like that quiz or that specific assignment, not like the reading or the explanation that would go along with it. So that's the only drawback with it. But I did want to point that out as a feature. Now the next part is how to go and access Zoom. We want to know how to do that, so that way you can come on into class, right? So on the right hand side under the to do, there is going to be an announcement for you. So what you're going to do, and on the screen there it is circled in red, you would go and click on that announcement. The next thing that you would see then is a different screen, and like for me, I'm going to hyperlink it just because I think seeing the entire URL is a little bit ugly and I'm weird like that. But other teachers are a-okay with it, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that I'm a weirdo. So there's going to be a blue hyperlink. That's the important part there. And what you're going to do then after you click that link is that you're going to see a screen that looks just like this. So the next part then is that you are going to go and click at the bottom, and it's super small. I apologize for that. I wish it wasn't. You're going to click join from your browser. You're not going to go and click install from the Chrome Web Store. It just doesn't work out all that well. This is the easiest way to do it. The next thing that you are going to do then is you're going to type your first and last name. So please make sure to put your first and last name for us before you then click I'm not a robot. The teachers are not going to be allowed to allow you into the class without knowing who you are. And that's just for student safety. The next thing that you're going to see then is please wait for the host to start this meeting. You're going to be put into what is called a waiting room, and you'll just be chilling there, and it'll be for whenever the teacher does allow you in. Don't worry, we will allow you in as long as you have your first and last name in there, okay? The next thing that you're going to see is a pop-up. This will only, it should only occur the first time that you log into Zoom, but I did want to include this in case you are unfamiliar with ever using Zoom before. And it's going to ask you two questions actually. The first one will be to use your camera. Make sure to allow that. And also then the second one is to use your microphone. Also make sure to allow that too. Once you're in there, this is for if you, this screen that you're seeing here is if you're on an entire laptop. If you're on a Chromebook, you're not going to have as many features, but I did want to go through and show them to you. Something to keep in mind is a lot of your teachers are going to have you muted when you come on in, just because it's a little bit faster, and that way it's not as chaotic sounding. If you ever need to go and speak, you're just going to click the unmute button, and then once you're done, you would just go and click mute again. That way, we're very mindful of our background noise. So one thing about me when I was teaching during the shutdown from home is I have a grandfather clock, and so it would constantly ring, and it was very obnoxious to hear that every 15 minutes for my poor students. So that's just something that, you know, we don't really think about, but it does go and make a lot of noise. At the first part, it may have your video, it may not, but if you want to stop your video or start your video, that's the next button. So you can feel free to turn on your video off and on as needed. When you're speaking, please go ahead and turn it on so that way we can see you and get to know you and recognize the voice and the face together. One thing to note though is just be mindful of where you are at if you could. Like for me right now, I have a wall behind me, so I know that nobody can like walk behind me, and I'm very cognizant of what I look like from the clavicle up here, okay? So just be mindful of that too. The chat feature is a really great feature to ask. Realize that it is going to go to everyone. It is not private. But if your teacher is explaining something, feel free to use that chat feature, and then your teacher or other students can chime in if they know that answer, if you're struggling with something. We're in this to learn together, and that's so important. So make sure to use that. If you're on a laptop or a desktop, not a Chromebook, I'm sorry, the Chromebooks at this point don't allow this. There's also reactions where you could do like thumbs up, thumbs down, applause, different things like that. And then at the end, there's the red button in order to go and leave the meeting. Sometimes your teacher may ask you to turn on your screen, your camera, so in that way you can do a thumbs up or thumbs down. That way we can do some nonverbal checks, and that just makes it a little easier as well. One thing I would suggest that you do not ever do within Zoom, this is just personal preference, but I find it kind of confusing, is don't go into full screen. It's really awkward to get out of there, but you can minimize it. And then what would happen is that you can work on like your assignment as you are learning from your teacher. So inside of a course, there are modules, and modules are going to be like themes or units of study. And then within them, there's going to be the different actual assignments and readings. So in Google Classroom, it was like the big topics under the classwork. So this is what some of my modules look like in one of my classes. And you would need to go through them in order. Okay, it's going to be really, really confusing if you go out of order with that. In order to go and submit an assignment, it's very different from Google Classroom, so I wanted to go through that real quick. Everything in Canvas is usually at the bottom to get to the next screen, and it would be a gray button that says next, except for the submit assignment, which is up at the top, and it's blue. So if you're ever wondering where is this assignment at, scroll up and look for the blue button. So the first one that I'm going to be talking about is a text entry box. This one's pretty easy in order to do. There's going to be the box, and you just type in there. You have to go and click the blue submit assignment button in order for your teachers to be able to see the assignment. If you don't, then we don't actually get to see it. It's not like in Google Docs where we could go on in and be able to see what you had accomplished. Unfortunately, you have to click that blue submit assignment with everything, or we cannot see it. There's a different type of assignment that's a little bit more complex, and that's called completing an activity worksheet. So if you go and click on the assignment and something like this pops up where it's like the AmazonAwes.com or something like this, that means that it is an editable PDF. So you're going to have to download it once you're done with the assignment and rename it, and we're going to go through those steps. So something to note is if there's a slightly like blue tinge to the part of the screen, that means it's the part that you would have to answer. So just a little heads up on that one. Once you're done with it, you would go to the print button, which is kind of weird, but that's the step that you're going to do. So you're going to click on the print button, and then the next thing that you're going to see is a pop-up for your, this is on a Chromebook here. And it's going to go into your downloads file on your Chromebook. And you're going to need to add your first and last name to the file before you save it. So this is just a screenshot of me adding a person's name. It was Jane Doe. And then this is just a close-up of what it looked like before and then after. So then once you have done that, you're going to be back in Canvas, and you're going to see the file upload screen. It's going to look exactly like this. You're going to click choose file, and you're going to go on into this next screen here, and eventually you're going to have to press that blue submit assignment. So this is what you're going to see once you select that choose file. You're then going to go and select the correct file and then press open. And then you would have to go and press that blue submit assignment button. If you make any changes to that PDF afterwards, you would have to go and resubmit the assignment again, because it's not like in Google Docs where we would go and be able to see the changes immediately. So that's just something to keep in mind. So some policies that we have implemented to go and help keep everybody safe is that a face covering must be worn at all times of the building unless at designated times. And those are going to be 2 different times, during breakfast and lunch. Something that's going to be a little bit different is that breakfast and lunch are going to be served in the classrooms, not the cafeteria this year. The bathroom capacity is going to be up to 5 people in there at one time in order to encourage social distancing. Also in the hallways, make sure to go and try to practice social distancing as much as possible. Within the school, in order to help promote social distancing, there are now hallway directions, and those are clockwise. And to remember that, there's going to be arrows in the hall to make it a little easier. Dismissal is going to be at 1:56 when we do get back to the face-to-face, and you would have to immediately exit the building in order to go and begin our deep cleaning and to give it enough time to sit and actually do its work. So in that way, everybody stays safe. Within the classroom, again, face coverings must be worn at all times, and it is going to go and cover the nose and the mouth and under the chin. So it wouldn't be like with the nose hanging out or the chin strap or the eye patch or anything like that. And if you forget or it slides down, we'll just gently remind you in order to go and put that back in place, okay? Seating charts are going to be non-negotiable, I'm sorry, but they have to be accurate for us to go and be able to have contact tracing logs in order to go and help keep us safe. There's also going to be minimal movement throughout the classroom, so pretty much a person's going to come on in, sit in their seat, and do their work, rather than being able to get up and roam. When you come on into class, you are going to be bringing your Chromebook, pencil, paper if you need to, and if you have like suggested items, you can do that as well. What you're going to do is outside of the classroom, there will be wipes. A student will go and pick up a single wipe, that's all that they need, and they will come on in and wipe down their desk, wipe down their chair. At that point, they can wipe down their Chromebook as well, set that down, and then go dispose of the wipe in the trash, and then go sit down. And also, any action that's detrimental to the learning environment, that student would then be placed online for 1 week. And if the issue continues, that student would then be placed completely online in order to go and keep the safety of others in mind. Some suggested items, you do not have to go and have these, however, it's just going to be a little bit easier for you. I really am a fan of blue light glasses. You can get them pretty cheap. I think I paid like $6 for mine. And it may be like a little bit expensive, but it's really worth it in the end, I feel. That way people don't get headaches or like gritty eyes. It's just really beneficial. Another thing is headphones or a headset, even if you're doing face-to-face. It's just a little bit easier because a lot of times you're going to have to listen to things, and then that way you don't hear that reverb. So like right now, while I'm recording this, I am using mine. I would really just suggest don't go out and buy a new one. Use like the one that your phone came with. Just makes it a little easier. I would also suggest a water bottle. The water fountains are closed down just because of safety reasons as well. They can be water bottles can be refilled though. I would also suggest that you have a travel-sized hand sanitizer. Those are really great in order to have no matter what and no matter where you are anymore. A library card for English classes is going to be really helpful. Then that way you can go and even do an e-reader. I would also suggest an extra face covering just in case there's a sneeze and the face covering just feels a little weird, but also just in case of sweating, you want to make sure that you have one that's nice and clean. I would also suggest travel-sized tissues. Again, it's not mandatory, but it's just kind of nice to have, especially with anything that comes up, especially like a sneeze. And also like a mouse, not like a physical animal pet mouse, but the mouse that you use for a computer, especially, sometimes just those trackpads don't work out all that well. Usually at this point I would open it up for questions, but if you do have any questions, feel free to go and contact your teachers. You can do it through Canvas, it does work now, or you can also email them personally with their email, or you can do it through Student View and Parent View. Thank you all so much for coming and watching this video. I hope that this was helpful, and we'll see you soon. I can't wait. Bye-bye.